Oh, can't you see? We're running out of time. You gotta lose your mind if you think you're doing fine. You can't describe it yet, but something is wrong. Where are your dreams now, and why don't you feel strong? Yeah, yeah. Every day, every night, you try to find yourself. Don't live your life as someone else.
Welcome one, welcome all to the Wrestling Matters podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Another installment of the weekly episode of the Wrestling Matters podcast. As well, hope you guys are well. In whatever it is you are doing, I hope you guys enjoyed the previous episodes too. There's plenty more where this came from. Also coming up in the coming weeks, next week will be Elimination Chamber week. So it's going to be an Elimination Chamber show. So I'm pretty much going to be talking about the Elimination Chamber. I might save it for after, because I might do another one next week, but there'll be one as well. But it's coming round about the Elimination Chamber time. The Elimination Chamber is February 19th. So I'm probably going to do the Elimination Chamber episode next week, which will be predictions and what is the best Elimination Chamber match and what is the worst. Now, if you're smart and you're a wrestling fan and you have a brain in your head, you already know what the worst Elimination Chamber match is of all time. I'll discuss that more next week, trust me on that. But today we're going to talk about various other things that went on this week in WWE as well. Some of them a lot predictable. And also we're going to talk about Hardcore Holly and his big push when he faced Lesnar at the Royal Rumble in 2004. Remember that? Yeah. Remember that? Hardcore Holly. The big push that he got when he faced Brock Lesnar in 2004 at the Royal Rumble when he faced him for the WWE Championship. I'm going to go on that in a second, but give me time, ladies and gentlemen, because I am going to talk about what happened on brief highlights. I won't go into too much detail because it was a clusterfuck. It really is. And SmackDown is, it is what it is. SmackDown is what it is, and that. So, Raw was okay-ish, and it kicked off, Lashley gloating after the Royal Rumble and everything. Lashley was gloating, he beat Brock Lesnar with a little help from Roman Reigns. But he beat Brock Lesnar and everything, and he was gloating. Brock Lesnar came out and cashed his rematch in and wanted to do the fight right there and then, but obviously Lashley was having none of it. So, I'm guessing since Adam Pearce heard Brock cash his rematch in, he mentioned that Lashley would defend the WWE Championship inside the Elimination Chamber. And Brock yelled at Pearce, I want in. Pearce granted him his wish. So Brock Lesnar entered the Elimination Chamber. Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash finally settled their feud. Ripley beat him. I didn't really care about that. Right. Miz and Dominic Mysterio. Now, whether you like Miz or not, and honestly, I don't, pretty much, at times, because he's a pain in the ass. But whether you like Miz or not, you have to say he outsmarted Mysterio in this match. Okay? He outsmarted the Mysterio because the ending to the match was he bounced off the ropes and tripped over himself, Miz. But he made it look like Mysterio tripped him, and then Mysterio got kicked out. Miz took advantage of it and won the match and beat Dominic Mysterio. So he took advantage of the match and beat Dominic Mysterio, which, to be fair, as much as I hate to admit it, Miz outsmarted the Mysterios. in what was probably a shocking match, Austin Theory qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. This man has been seemingly getting a push ever since linking up with Nakamura, going back to the Survivor Series egg storyline. Less said about that, better. Like it said on my TikTok, you're out of touch. Anyway. But yes, they have him beat Kevin Owens. He's not going to win the match. He's not going to win the match. Let's just have that say right now. Anyway. And also, Matt Riddle also qualified for the Elimination Chamber by beating Otis. And Bianca Belair destroyed Carmella in what was a great match between these two. Styles also qualified for the Elimination Chamber as well. He needs a fair shot, AJ. I think it's about time we give AJ like a main event scene. Now, I'm going to get to the Universal title. Yeah, it's time. And Ronda comes out after winning the Royal Rumble. Yes, you heard me correct. Ronda Rousey comes out. And everybody thinks she's going to go for Becky Lynch. And Becky did not happen, there's unfinished business there between them two. But Ronda flipped her over in the judo thing, in a judo armbar thing, and just said, "You get my answer on SmackDown this Friday," i.e. on SmackDown. And then Lita comes out, of all people, Lita, who returned at the Royal Rumble, and apparently has one more run left in her. And she's going, and apparently she challenged Becky to a match, an Elimination Chamber. So now it's Becky Lynch and Lita for the women's title, the Raw Women's title, an Elimination Chamber. This match to me, and with all due respect to Lita, is like what's going to happen on SmackDown. I'll get to that in a bit as well. That is what this is. I'll let you all in on it in a second. But speaking of SmackDown, let's go to SmackDown. And we'll go to that right now. Because SmackDown kicked off. And if you ask me, SmackDown's the better brand out of the two. Out of them and Raw, SmackDown's the better show. Without a doubt. I'm sorry to any Raw fans, if there is any Raw fans. But yeah. By that much, SmackDown is better. And, it kicked off with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman explaining why he turned on Lesnar at the Rumble and all that stuff. And then from out of nowhere, Goldberg shows up and acknowledges Roman Reigns, but acknowledges the fact that he's his next victim. Because it's been signed, ladies and gentlemen. Goldberg, Roman Reigns, Universal Championship, and Elimination Chamber. The way I see this match is like the Raw Women's title on Raw. It's like the Raw Women's Championship match on Raw. Becky and Lita. Just something for them two to get to WrestleMania. That's all it is. And Goldberg has one more match, and he's wanted it with Roman. He tried to have it at WrestleMania 20, at the WrestleMania 2020, but Roman went out to illness. Ever since then, Goldberg said he's been ducking him, and now we're going to get the match that we all asked for, and pretty much all demanded. And I tell you this right now, even though I don't think it's going to happen, and I'll give my predictions probably next week on the Elimination Chamber, but Roman will win and beat Goldberg. If by some stretch of the imagination Goldberg wins and becomes Universal Champion, you think him beating Bray Wyatt was something? Yeah. A fucking riot will start if Goldberg wins the Universal title February 19th at Elimination Chamber. I'm telling you right now. Goldberg will... The shit will be on. A riot will come out. Elimination Chamber if Goldberg wins the Universal Championship again. Let's see if there's anything else. Ricochet and Rich Holland, don't care. Jimmy Uso and Eric from the Viking Raiders, aka War Machine, if you are what they call it, aka War Machine, if you are Nirvana fans. Natalia being a moron. Drew McIntyre says that he has unfinished business with Brock Lesnar and wants that shot, but to get to where he wants to go, he has to go through Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss, because he wants revenge on them two, and he made a statement on that by kicking Moss's head off this past week. Nakamura beats Jinder Mahal. And Kofi, New Day, I guess, win their tag match. Why is Big E on SmackDown? I thought he was Raw. Anyway, and Ronda Rousey is not going to be wrestling Becky Lynch, because it's Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. And of course, Sonya Deville had to stick her beak in where it didn't belong, and she paid the price for it. She got her arm broken, just like what Stephanie did back in the day. You know, the armbar that Stephanie used to always get back in the day from Ronda, when Ronda was first here. Sonya got it, and you know what? It couldn't have happened to a nicer girl, let me tell you, because she fucking deserved it. Fucking crying, crying for Charlotte to help her out. Charlotte didn't do it, and there you go, pretty much. There you go. So it's going to be Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. And it's, in a way, pretty much brilliantly set up because of what happened at the Rumble. Because who did Ronda throw out at the Rumble? Charlotte. Because Charlotte wanted to make history and Ronda ruined it. So my guess is, from what I've heard anyway, it's going to be Ronda and Becky next year. But for now, it seems Miss Rousey's going to be on SmackDown, because that's what Fox wanted. They wanted Brock. They wanted Ronda on the same show, pretty much. And that's what they've got, pretty much, as well. Yeah, let me just have a look at the match. And like I say, my favourite moment was Sonya getting her arm broken, because she deserved it. Anyone who deserved that was her. Also, there we are. It'd be interesting to see what they do at WrestleMania, because we all know WrestleMania, it's going to be Ronda versus Charlotte. And I just realised that WrestleMania is on April 2nd and 3rd. So if I'm going to do GMW again, I'm going to have to do that on a Friday, aren't I? Or the Thursday or whatever. Oh, great. Because I want to watch WrestleMania. I'm watching WrestleMania. I don't give a fuck who's on live, who's on stream. I don't care. I'm watching WrestleMania. And Brock goes one-on-one with Roman. Probably the end of the Tribal Chief. And yeah, those are the two matches that we have for WrestleMania. And of course, probably the Battle Royals will get in there at some point as well. But yes, the two matches that we have for WrestleMania are Charlotte and Ronda, Brock and Roman. So, like I say, I can't see them making it Goldberg and Roman, because Goldberg and Brock, because at the end of the day, we've had Goldberg back. At the end of the day, that was the reason why Goldberg came back in the first place, to do a favour for Brock, and we've had that. So, like I say, if Roman somehow beat loses to Goldberg at Elimination Chamber, February 19th, a riot will kick off. I'm telling you, a riot will kick off. Trust me. Anyways, I digress. On to now the main piece of this episode of SmackDown, which is Hardcore Holly. Now, his little push in 2004, and I say little because that's what it was. In my opinion, it was a waste of time, a complete waste of time. Hardcore Holly, I think he got this push because he was loyal to the company. He stayed as long as he did with the company. I think that's why he got the push. Maybe, I don't know, but that's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, it all led up to him facing Brock at the Rumble, Brock Lesnar, for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble of 2004. In my opinion, all of this was a waste of time. But it happened. And it all started when them two had a match on SmackDown, Brock and Hardcore. And Brock, with a powerbomb, dropped Hardcore on the back of his head and broke his neck. Or broke his neck, I don't know. But he was out for a long period of time after that anyway. And I think there was promos and interviews with Holly saying that Brock broke his neck. And obviously, Hardcore was fuming. He was pissed about that, and rightly so. And he vowed revenge. So, Hardcore then, after what happened, made his return. Made his return. But the thing is about that match, going back to that match that they had, Hardcore Holly continued the match. Yes, he might have had his neck broken, but he continued the match. Still, even with probably a broken neck, he still continued the match. And people were surprised about that. And maybe they were back in the day, but this is the same guy that wrestled Rob Van Dam one time on ECW, suplexed Rob Van Dam from the apron to the table and broke right through the table, gashing himself at the side, gashing himself right across the side. Go back and watch the match and still continue to wrestle for another, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the match. So, Hardcore's a tough son of a bitch. That same guy who was Sparky Plug at one point. Less said about that, the better, I say. But although that gimmick was successful, it was a tag team champion, but him being Hardcore was better. Just saying. And yes, obviously Brock won that match and continued to beat him up, whatever. So Hardcore then did come back just before the Survivor Series and joined Team Angle. Because he wanted revenge. He vowed revenge on Lesnar. Like I say, he vowed revenge. And I don't think there was no malice, according to the interview, behind it, because Brock apparently felt bad, according to Holly. But obviously they continued the story with it. So, and that. But apparently they enjoyed working with each other, so there was chemistry there. And there was no thing behind it. It was just, and apparently Brock called him after the surgery and everything like that to check on him. So everything was cool in that point. But they came back and the characters on stream, and obviously they did what they did. But like I say, Holly vowed revenge. And Brock was still the champion, and he came back, Holly, like I say, right before Survivor Series. Right before Survivor Series, and joined Kurt Angle's team. He came back, and I believe he saved Kurt Angle, whacked, and I mean whacked, Matt Morgan, and probably Nathan Jones as well, with the chair. And boy, did he whack Matt Morgan with it. And his statement, he whacked them both with it and made a statement and vowed revenge on Lesnar. He wanted Brock Lesnar. And then Paul Heyman, weeks on weeks on weeks, vowed revenge. You know, Camden Town. And then obviously Paul had no choice but to put him in the Survivor Series. Joined Team Angle. And then Holly vowed to break Lesnar's neck. But when Survivor Series came along, we all know what happened. Brock and Hardcore went straight for Holly. Hardcore went straight for Lesnar and got counted out or disqualified. So he lasted 10 seconds. But it was the match that, you know, after the Survivor match, you know, we all know what happened. Team Angle eventually ended up winning. But then the next time on SmackDown, Brock versus, I think he came out to interfere in a Chris Benoit match. Holly came out chasing Lesnar and beat him up and attacked him and had him in the full Nelson looking to break that neck. But then the cops came out and Heyman suspends him to no avail, quite frankly. But then Heyman suspends him and indefinitely, and then the next week he comes out in a Mobile Wrestlemania t-shirt and everything like that and says nothing's going to stop him probably, and he vowed revenge as well. And then Heyman, panicking like hell, gets Don Marie, who's his assistant, to boom, 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 write them a letter and everything like that. But it didn't happen. And then the next time on SmackDown goes one-on-one with Mysterio, and Mysterio, if Mysterio won the match, he would have ended up wrestling Brock for the championship, but Mysterio tapped out in his hometown, I believe. And then this fan comes running in dressed up as a Mysterio, and everybody thought it was a Mysterio family member. He had a Mysterio mask on. It was like a Mysterio family member and everything like that. He shoves the security out the way, takes the hood off, takes the mask off, and it's Hardcore Holly. Hardcore Holly. And Brock's face is a picture when he sees it. Brock's face is an absolute picture when you go back and see it. And then he goes and attacks him, and then SmackDown goes off the air. And then the next week on SmackDown, Paul Heyman had no choice. He had no choice but to bring Holly back. Give him an opportunity to wrestle for the championship. You know, or to attempt to get Brock for the title. But before that, it ended up being Shadow getting a WWE title match, which was stupid. Absolutely stupid. And A-Train losing to Shannon Moore as well. But that all set up this tag match between Brock, which wasn't Brock. Brock was ringside. It was Matt Morgan and A-Train. A-Train's redemption because he fucked up losing to Shannon Moore the previous time. And they two teamed up to face Hardcore Holly and his tag team partner Shannon Moore. But the plan that they had did not work. Yes, Brock got involved, blah, 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 blah. It did not work. Hardcore wouldn't lie down. And then a miscue between A-Train and Matt Morgan because A-Train hit him with the boot, which was the bro kick to you and I. But he hit him with the boot, and then Hardcore got rid of A-Train. Morgan got hit with the Alabama Slam and got the 1-2-3. Not only did Hardcore save his job because his job was on the line, and directors, but he also got a championship match against Lesnar at the Royal Rumble of 2004. As you can probably tell, if you go back and watch it, Brock was fuming as well. The next week, Show was pissed, being humiliated by Mysterio and Holly. He was running around backstage, flinging flings and everything like that. Paul calmed him down and fed him to Hardcore. And it was Hardcore Holly versus Big Show. And Big Show got busted open and was pissed, demanding another match with Lesnar for the following week on SmackDown. This time it was a street fight. And yeah, Hardcore just beat the hell out of him, pretty much. And then choked him out with, he got the chair, hooked it around the neck of the Big Show, and choked him out, pretty much, to submission. And also, during that, he attacked Lesnar, sprayed in the eyes with some mist, and then choked him out, and then got into a verbal confrontation, or verbally provoked him, and then chased Lesnar out. Next week, he comes out, Lesnar Show comes out with a restraining order and a neck brace. And he's still the US champion. He never defended that belt during that reign. You know, he never defended that title. You would think Hardcore would have probably got a shot at the US title, but anyway, I digress. But they vowed revenge, of course. But I think Hardcore was still. He had tunnel vision for Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. No doubt about it. He had literally tunnel vision for Lesnar at the Rumble. And then at the end of the SmackDown, I think Lesnar was going back to the aisle, and then he gets it, and then Holly comes out and attacks him, gets him into 4 now. Lesnar gets a cheap shot in, and then ends SmackDown by running away, and then it ended up being the match at the Rumble. Holy shit, this is a lot to go through. And then apparently the match was 5 minutes, and Lesnar won the match. The match was awful at the Rumble. It was awful. It was slow. It was boring. As you could probably tell, it was pointless. It was literally pointless. But I still believe to this very, very day that they gave that as a thank you to Hardcore for being there so long. Oh yeah, we'll give you this little run here. You could have this little run here. No problem. But yeah, the match was poor. The match was really, really, really poor at the Rumble. And I think they gave it 5 minutes so they can give maybe time, whatever it was. I don't know what it was, but yeah, 5 minutes did not work. 5 minutes, it just didn't work. The whole match did not work at all. And, well, you know what happened after that, pretty much. Brock still the champion. And then he ends up losing the belt to Eddie Guerrero at the No Way Out pay-per-view as well, because we all know what happened. Lose the match to him at No Way Out on pay-per-view. And then it was the Goldberg Brock Lesnar match at WrestleMania, which we're all trying to forget about, even them two. That's why Goldberg came back and did him that favor. So, because everybody wanted that sour taste out of their mouth, including them two, and they did it to their credit. But yeah, that was Hardcore's push. What's your take on it, guys? Drop a comment down below if you have any opinions on it. Whether you're watching this on Facebook, leave a comment, or leave a comment on the YouTube channel as well. YouTube and Facebook is where you see the Wrestling Matters podcast, not these other sites and these pointless other sites and everything. And trust me, guys, on this broadcast, on the program, we don't insult you. I do not insult you. Okay? You're not going to see anything gimmicky or anything like that. You're going to see straight to the point casting at its best. Why? Because Wrestling matters to me. Okay? None of this promo bullshit. Oops, I broke the fourth wall. Anyway. But thank you all for tuning in, guys. That about wraps it up. Next week will be the Elimination Chamber. What is the worst Elimination Chamber of all time, but what is the best? Find out my opinion on that. And like I said, guys, if you are smart, and I know you guys are, if you guys are smart, you know what the worst Elimination Chamber match is. You already know. Okay? But if you don't know, you soon will. Because, oh boy, it was a clusterfuck. Elimination Chamber. But I'm pretty sure you're all smart and you already know what it is. But if you don't, you soon will. Just tune in next week and you'll find out. Trust me on that. But until then, guys, thank you. I will see you right here next week for another edition of the podcast. Peace out.
Oh, can't you see? We